5 Bulma Universe 7 deck, 1 copy of the leader, 4 Goku Divine Presence, 4 Super Saiyan Vegeta Exploding Weakness, 4 Super Saiyan Blue Pelican Goku, 4 Android 17 Rebel Reinforcements, 4 Khalifa Skillless, 4 Gohan Ultimate Essence, 4 Tien Shinhan Desperate Multiform, 4 Heroic Dual Videl, 4 Testing That Position, 4 Violent Rays, 3 Goku Jr. Vegeta Jr. Saiyan Scions, 4 Piccolo Jr. Descendant, 3 Piccolo Jr. Descendant of the King, 3 King Piccolo Giant Force, and 1 Goku and Frieza Miraculous Conclusion. Obviously, it's a really good card. I really like it. It's really good, especially for Bulma. Really good finisher because it has dual attack and it burns, and then it's an unstoppable attacker. It has protection capabilities. It's not perfect, but it's good, and as long as you make sure your energy is mono red, 5 or more mono red energy, you could play this for 5 red energy instead of 8. So it's always good. So Bulma, permanent all red and yellow Saiyan and Earthling cards in your battle area game blocker. Active main, once per turn, draw a card. When you have 4 or less life, you may choose up to 2 energies, switch into active mode, and flip this card over. Her permanent is still the same, all red and yellow Saiyan and Earthling cards in your battle area game blocker. Active main, once per turn, draw 2 cards. So of course, you're going to combine this ability to draw with Piccolo Jr., so you can draw some more. You're going to do some deck thinning through the effects of Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr. Scion effect, as well as Goku Divine Presence, because you're going to be using these effects to thin out and take out the Khalifas from your deck. Obviously, when you mulligan, you want to put Khalifas into your deck and try to grab your Scions, your Gokus to help you get them out the deck. So you can thin out the deck. The deck is 50 cards, so that way it further helps with the deck thinning, because you definitely want to be able to get to the point where you draw and get your Goku and Frieza. It's your main wing on, not your only one, but it's definitely your main one. So one you definitely want to use to win with. So you definitely want to thin out the deck, draw a lot of cards. Gohan has the ability that when you combo with a red Skillless battle card, a mono red Skillless battle card, you get to draw a card, so he adds more draw power to the deck with that effect. Tien Shinhan, when you play him, you draw a card, so that adds more draw to the deck. So there's that. Alright, so we got that. So moving on to Goku, the Presence, the Divine Presence. 20k with effect, dual attack, which is always good to have the ability to attack more than once. He has a permanent, this card can't be moved from your battle area by skills during your turn, so you don't have to worry about stuff like, since he has the effect, you don't have to worry about Gas and Trunks. Because of this permanent, you don't have to worry about, what's his name, Charismatic and Frieza, that kind of stuff. Then he has the auto once per turn. When this card attacks, add up to 1 red Skillless battle card from your deck to your hand, then shuffle your deck. This card gets plus 5k power for the turn. So of course, he's a dual attacker, so you attack, trigger the auto, go get your Skillless battle card, to thin out the deck, and then trigger the 5k. So it'd be 25k for the duration of the turn. So on that first attack, it'd be 25k, and then when you restand from the dual attack, you can swing again and be 25k on the second attack. So it's nice that he can be strong for the duration of the turn. Of course, you can combo with whatever cards you have in your hands to make them stronger, of course. Then he has the active battle ability. Pay 2 red. If you have 3 or more energy and you have 2 or more red battle cards in your combo area, play this card from your hand, then choose up to one of your mono red cards, and it gets the 5k power for the duration turn. You can use this to, obviously power boost your leader, so that way your leader gets the extra 5k for the duration turn. He doesn't have unique, and of course you can play multiple copies of him, so you can trigger this multiple times. You have multiple copies, so now you can keep giving the leader 5K for every time you do this. So that's something you keep in mind. It's not a once turn effect. So you can do this multiple times, pay 2 for this copy, then play another copy for 2, and then boost the leader up to 10K extra for the duration of turn. And then you're putting up blockers, which helps further keeping the game longer. So really good card. It's interesting because it kind of works like a rival card, but it works during rival works during active battle, obviously, but it works like a rival card. So that's pretty cool. So you combo, drop them, get power boost, and then you get 20K blockers. Then we have Vegeta, exploding weakness, counter play. You play this card. Terminate if your leader card player wishes, reduce the cost of this card by 2, so it costs 3 to play. Auto, when you play this card, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, and they get negative 20K power for the duration of the turn. And if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your leader cards, and it gets 5K power for the duration of the turn. So obviously you can use this to boost up your leader, because he is relatively weak, so you want the ability to boost your leader for, defensive plays. Notice a lot of these cards tend, work on your opponent's turn. You got a lot of counter plays, counterattacks, counter plays. We got cards that work on our opponent's turn, which is good. Lets us interact with our opponent, because you want to keep your defenses up, so you need stuff that works on your opponent's turn, obviously. And of course, this could potentially board wipe your opponent's board, or at least weaken your opponent's board to make it easier for you to survive that turn, so that's always good. He's, obviously a Saiyan, red Saiyan, so he will be a blocker as well, so it adds extra defense on that. Then we have Pageman Goku as Deflect, 15K auto. You play this card from your hand, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with 20K power less and KO them. Activate ability, pay 2 red. If the leader card is red and you place this card from your hand to driver, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and it gets minus 25K power for the turn. This is obviously good for getting rid of any problematic battle cards like Deadly Defenders or just any problematic battle card, especially if your opponent tried to finish you with the finisher and you was able to survive through, negating it through the attack, negating the attacks and stuff and blocking the attacks. You definitely want to make sure they don't have a second turn to a second chance, right, to swing with it again. So using this to get rid of it is always good. And that situation, especially if it has barrier. Of course, when you play it from your hand for its board wiping ability, since it is a Saiyan, it will be a blocker, so you not only clear the board, you also potentially put up a defense, especially if you get in a scenario where you didn't get rid of every battle card your opponent has, then at least you put up a blocker on top of getting rid of most of their attackers, right? Then we got Android 17 reinforcements. 15K counterattack. Negate the attack and then play this card. Then choose up to one red battle card with an energy cost of 1 in your drop area and play. And you notice it doesn't say negate the skill or bring it in rest mode, so clearly whatever one drop you bring back will get its effect. And Gohan's a really good target for that. Tien is another decent target for this effect. Because when you play Tien, you draw a card, so you're getting a plus out of it. Plus, Tien will be a blocker, so you're getting a blocker out of it. Android 17 is an android in Universe 7, so he doesn't become a blocker himself, but at least he does negate at least one attack by playing him, and then he'll, give you a blocker either through Gohan or through playing Tien. You could also bring back Heroic Videl if she's in the drop area. You can, of course, bring back Khalifa. So you can always bring back a blocker as long as you have any of these one drops in the drop area. There will be a blocker from Bulma's effect. Gohan, of course, has really good synergy with Android 17 because since Android 17 is a Universe 7 and it's a less than 4 cost, when you play Gohan, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to one red Universe 7 card with energy cost 4 or less, or a red unison and add 2 cost or less and add it to your hand. So this has the ability to grab you either Piccolo Jr., Descendant of the King, or it lets you get any, it gets you this Goku or this Goku. It can get you another copy of Gohan. It can get you Tien. It definitely can get you Android 17 Rebel Reinforcement. Because he's Universe 17. And of course, you can use him to bring back the Gohan after you use the Gohan, as a blocker, because it will be a blocker used as a block. And you can always use the second copy of Android 17 and bring it back, and then get the effect to grab another Android 17 or something else of your choice, of course. So it's the fact that it does have synergy in that regards, that any chance you have of grabbing a Android 17 off the effect that Gohan is usually a good idea because of the fact that they have synergy with each other. And you want to thin out your deck as much as possible, cycle through your deck because you're definitely trying to get to your SCR, which is one of your win cons. So moving on, Khalifa, 10k, she's Universe 6, not 7, but, like the card, I want to throw it in there. And this goes with the Skillus aspect of this card's effect, the Skillus aspect of this Gohan card's effect, and then of course using the silence to help thin out the deck. Plus, just go aggro. You want to deal as much damage on turn 1 and turn 2 as much as possible. Because after turn 3, it's going to be harder to do some damage, which is where you're going to try to rely on chip damage, as they say. Trying to get some attacks to go through, and then ultimately finish your opponent off through some burn effects. Giant Force, King Piccolo, and Goku and Frieza would be your main burn effects. So there's very little burn in the deck. Only 4 parts of the deck that can burn. But you only need to burn once to win, right? So that's all that matters. And where we at? So Gohan, of course, like I said, has the ability to grab a Universe 7 red card or a Piccolo Jr. Unison, which is always good. And then the fact that he can also grab himself, because he also is a Universe 7 himself. So you can play him, grab a copy of him. If you have the energy to play another copy, play him, grab another copy. You get the idea, you can keep doing that. And if you ultimately end up getting a Android 17, then you have Android 17. 17 can play back and go on after you go on to block. And then, continue search. So, like I said, there's some synergy there, right? They're on the same team, right? Universe 7. He has of course, the second auto, which is limit 1, so you can only get the ability once a turn per copy of the card. So, every your card is red, which is when you use a mono red Skillus battle card in a combo draw card. So, Khalifa will help us trigger that. If we end up having her in our hand, we combo, we can draw a card, further helping us thin out the deck and draw into our win cons. Then we got Shenhan. He has the auto that when you play him, you draw a card, so pretty good first turn play. Play him, draw a card. That's if you go first. If you go second, you definitely want your Scion, Goku and Vegeta Jr. Scion, because you want to go aggro real quick. Go in there and get some damage in there. If you want to get your opponent down to 4 really quick, and then get them down to 2, and then ultimately get them down to 1, and then finish them off with burn damage. So Tien, of course, you play him, you draw a card, he's a blocker, so it adds more draw powers. Remember, draw, trying to get your win cons, right? Try to get to your combo pieces. You gotta keep your hand nice and thick. And then has the second auto where you pay 2 energy. If it's your opponent's turn, when this card is used in a combo from your battle area, not your hand, just the battle area, play 4 multi-form tokens with a 10k power, 0 cost 5k combo power. So you have the potential for 2 energy of creating 25 combo power in a turn, so you have a good amount of combo power, so this further can help you survive a turn. So that's good in that regards. Then there's also the fact that he'll be a blocker, so you can block an attack. So it's up to you, you know, the choices you make, the variety of, he's very versatile, that's the point, right? Because the 10K tokens, you know, they're 10K, so that's decent power, you know, so you can definitely work with. You get 4 tokens, so this is like the Uppbeat of the deck, so very versatile. You draw, so it replaces itself. It becomes a blocker, so you could block or combo with it just to trigger its effect. And of course, it has synergy with Android 17. So you can use those two together in a combination to, you know, survive a turn. It's all about your creativity and how you use these cards in synergy. It's always about surviving the turn, right? You always want an extra turn because an extra turn means an extra chance of winning. That's extra attacks, that's extra, you know, draws, you know, extra defense, extra everything. Always get an extra turn. Heroic Duel Videl, counter attack. Negate an attack, you play her, since she's a Earthling, red Earthling, she will become a blocker. So you could stop 2 attacks, potentially 2 attacks with just 1 energy. She's a 1-drop, so of course she does synergize with Android 17. Then we got Testing Opposition, counter attack, your leader card is mono red. Negate the attack, play a Cyberman token with 5k power, 0 cost 5k combo power, and gains blocker. So you can potentially stop 2 attacks with this card. Permanent, if your life is 5 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill by adding a card from your life to your hand in order to play this card for free. This is not a once per turn effect, so you can play this multiple times if you have multiple copies. As long as you can afford the life, you could potentially stop multiple attacks. So that's really good. And of course, I like that just synergizing, testing that position with, you know, Heroic Duel Videl, or combining it with, you know, Exploiting Weakness Vegeta, just to further increase, you know, an extra layer of defense. If my opponent is able to still attack, even though I minus 5k to the board and 5k boosted my leader, having this as a backup to, you know, further keep me in the game, you know, getting an extra turn is top priority. We got Violent Raise, counter attack. If your leader card is red, negate the attack. You may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. If you do, choose one of these abilities. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 20k power or more, or your opponent can't attack with Unison with 20k power or more. For the turn, we always use the battle card effect more often than not. We have, of course, Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., Saiyan Scion. We use this card's -1 ability, which lets us play up to 2 skills battle cards with energy cost of 1 from our deck, 4 dropper, and then we shuffle our deck if we look good. So this will let us take out 2 Khalifas out the deck and play it onto the field. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is attack with the Goku Jr. Scion, because he is a 10k, so play for 1 energy, swing with it, then minus 1 marker, and then bring out 2 Khalifas and attack with them. So you can get 3 attacks off at turn 1, not to mention the fact you could attack with a leader and combo card from your hand just to get the leader up to 10, so you can have potentially 4 attacks on turn 1. So possibility of dealing 4 damage turn 1 is always good. You know, get as much as you can. I haven't done that many times before. Then we have Piccolo Jr., Descendant of the King. As the auto, when your opponent activates a counter skill, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power or less and KO it. This obviously can work really well with Vegeta's Exploiting Weaknesses effect. The fact that you can minus 20k to your opponent's battle cards to make sure they're weak. And if you didn't wipe them all out and you start to attack, it's, you know, you can't play this on your turn to trigger that minus 20k ability. So you can play this on your turn, start swinging, and if your opponent plays a counter skill card like a counter attack, for example, then you'll trigger this and get rid of something. So there's that. It's just nice to have, better to have this effect and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? Plus one ability, draw a card, further, helping us get to our win columns. He's 15k, so after you already used up your Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., you're going to be playing the Piccolo, and he's going to stay on the field for a while until you want to use your King Piccolo Giant Force for its win con effect. But you're more likely to play this and keep this on the board, getting the extra draw on top of your leader's effect, and any other draw abilities you have in the deck. And then, as the -2 ability, choose up to one of your red battle cards with energy cost 3 or less. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards with power less than or equal to the chosen card and KO them and gain Rejuvenate. So far, our best target for this effect, is King Goku or Android 17. They're both 15. So that's the best we can do there. It's better than nothing. Alright. And we got King Piccolo Giant Force. It's 19k critical dual attack. Always gets to have the ability to attack twice. Because it helps you, bypass negates. Or at least makes negates less useful. And then -2 ability, choose up to one of your opponents. Choose up to one of your red leader cards, and it gets 5k power for the duration until the start of your next turn. Right? So it's another way of boosting your leader, and you can of course combine that with like Goku or Vegeta boosting your leader, which further can keep you in the game longer. Then here's the main reason we have them is because -4 ability, active main, pay 4 red, X energy. If your leader card is red, deal X damage to your opponent. So, for example, with this card, to do just even 1 damage, you'll need 9 energy, 4 to play the card that has 4 markers, then 4 red energy for the 4 red energy part, and then pay 1 extra energy for its burn effect, so a total of 9 energy just to play this all in 1 turn. But if you have an extra copy of this, then you will only need 8 energy, which will pay 3 to play this, then attach the second copy to this to give it a marker so it has 4 markers, right? And you still have 5 energy left, and then pay 4 red plus 1, and that will deal the 1 damage. So you could play this card as soon as turn 8 for 1 damage if you have 2 copies of this card in your hand. Or you could play this sooner if you play this on turn 5. Play this with 4 energy, right? And still have that 1 energy up for like a Violent Rays or a Heroic Videl, play this on turn 5 for 4. Protect this, make sure this still has its markers. That way on turn 6, when you have 6 energy, you'll be able to minus the 4 markers off of him, pay the 4 red energy plus 2 energy, and be able to do 2 damage with this card. Let's see. But, it depends on how you play it. You can get him out sooner than later and finish your opponent off. The goal is always to get your opponent down to 2 or 1 life and finish them off. Now, more so than anything, preferably 1, that you should be upgrading to getting your opponent down to 1 life. It tends to be easier nowadays with stuff like testing out position, being in the game, and people are playing cards that cause them to lose life. So it's easier to get your opponent down to 1, or easier, I should say. So definitely try to get them down to 1 and finish them off with 1 damage. So we got Goku and Frieza, Miraculous Conclusion, Ultimate Dual Attack, 40k. So it's nice that it has the ability to attack twice. Because the first time you don't succeed, try again, right? Permanent, you can't play this card from any area using skills, so you have to hard cast it, of course. And if you have 5 or more mono red energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3. Mainly you're charging red energy, so that's not a good problem, having the 5 mono red for this effect, so you can play this on turn 5. Permanent, this card can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills. So this will be immune to stuff like Charismatic Ability and Frieza. It still can be, God sealed. Still be counterplayed by certain cards, but not every card. Then there's the fact that it's an 8 drop on the field. We don't have to go about Heron's lineage, so there's that. Then the second permanent, during battle in which this card attacked, you can't use cards in your hands in combos. So you can't combo from your hand, and your opponent can't activate counter or blocker skills, which is great. So that's the UA part, the unstoppable attacker part. So you don't have to worry about, your opponent, using stuff like, testing out position or running raise or something like that on this card's attack. You don't have to worry about blockers, which is obviously good in a mirror match. Because in a mirror match, your opponent is obviously going to have blockers, at least blockers. If they don't have counterattacks, they'll at least have blockers. So this will be able to bypass that. And it can attack twice, so you get 2 chances to try to hit your opponent. Now you can't combo from your hand, but you still can combo from your battle area, so keep that in mind in case you want to, boost your this card's attack. And has the active main if you leave card barrier, which it is. You remove this card from the game to deal 1 damage to your opponent. Obviously, it has to be on the field for that, even though it didn't say it per se, but it's supposed to be on the field. Would that be busted if you can just be like, remove it from my hand, because it doesn't say remove from the field to deal damage, it just says remove from the game. So imagine removing from your hand to do your opponent 1 damage. That would be perfect. It'd be way too perfect. Nah, I can't do that. You gotta hard cast this bad boy and get that effect. I could be wrong. You could potentially play this in your hand, that'd be busted. But it doesn't say remove from the game, from the hand, obviously, so doubtful. So anyway, point is, really good card. You get 2 attacks to either bring them down to 1 and then finish them off with the active main, or if they have 3 life, bring them down to, bring them down from 3 to 0. Right? So you at least get the ability to try to finish the game with that. So it's nice. It's definitely a finisher. So definitely we are trying to search it out, bring it out, and take your opponent out. Right? And that's the end of the video.